Welcome to the kitchen here at Folk Rock Farm. Today I'm going to take you through making a New England native ingredient pumpkin pie. I'm using white oak acorns that we foraged, beaked hazelnuts that we grew, and black walnuts that we grew. I'm using a Long Island cheese pumpkin, which is an heirloom variety that has been cultivated here in New England since at least the early 1800s. This is actually one of my favorite types to use for anything that calls for pumpkin in your recipe. It's got excellent flavor, a great texture, and I find that it's less stringy than some other pumpkin varieties. There's also not too many guts, so it's super easy to clean out, and it smells amazing. And this is way too much squash for this particular recipe, but I'm gonna cook all this up and just have squash to use for a while. I'm just cleaning up each piece. You'll want to make your pieces roughly around the same size so they cook equally and at about the same amount of time. And I put these in the oven at 375 degrees for roughly half hour, 45 minutes. The seeds are also super easy to separate from the guts, so I'll be separating these out to make some tasty treats later. While the pumpkin cooks, I'm going to get the acorn flour crust ready. This video is me preparing the acorns by leaching the day before. We have another video of us making the acorn flour. If you're interested, I will link that video below. For the crust, I use cinnamon, local maple syrup, salt, and here is my strained acorn flour, and 2 eggs. So bear with me here, but I don't use any measuring when I cook, so this is about half a teaspoon of salt and about half a teaspoon to a full teaspoon of cinnamon I'm adding. And I'd say this is probably about a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. This you could adjust based on taste and mix it all up. Once you're done mixing, you're gonna butter up or spray up your pan that it's going into. It was at this moment I realized I made way too much crust batter for one pie, so I actually ended up taking about half of it out to make a second pie. And you're just going to smooth all this out to form a nice even crust layer, like so. And you're going to bake this at 350 degrees for about 15 minutes. Acorn crust turns really nice dark brown, almost kind of looks burnt when you cook it, but as long as you take it out and it's firm to the touch, it should be good to use. Alright, for the pie part, you can do 1 cup of your cooked pumpkin, half a cup of milk. I'm using whole milk here. You could also do half heavy cream for a more decadent pie. then a half teaspoon of salt, and a full teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. Then I added about 1/3 of a cup of maple syrup. You could adjust this depending on how sweet you like it. Stirred that up, and then I added 2 fresh eggs from our chickens. And I just mixed this up till most of the pumpkin chunks were mixed in. And you can pour this over your crust. Now this will make enough for 1 pumpkin pie filling. If you made the crust to make 2 crusts like I did earlier, you can just double this pumpkin pie filling recipe and make 2 pies. And this is gonna bake at 400 degrees for 45 to 55 minutes. Don't mind the pumpkin still in there. I cut up a lot of pumpkin and I'm trying to cook it all. And here comes the fun part, cracking black walnuts. We have this really nice heavy-duty nutcracker that makes the job pretty easy. Without this is not a pleasant task, but this makes it pretty fun. Put about 2 tablespoons of butter in a hot pan and about 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. And I just cooked this on low heat until they both started to mingle and sizzle. I threw my black walnut pieces in here, followed by my beaked hazelnuts. Figured this would be a delicious candied nut topping for the native pumpkin pie. After a few minutes, the nuts kind of soaked up all the liquid, so when that happened, I figured it was about done. I know it's going to be tough, but you should wait for this bad boy to cool before putting your nut topping on. And while the nuts are, wow, look at that, looks delicious. While the nuts are still warm from cooking, I put these all around the edge of the pie. They do stiffen up as they cool, kind of like traditional candied nuts, so I would definitely recommend getting these on there before they do that because they're a little bit easier to work with. And here's the finished native pumpkin pie. It was so fun harvesting and utilizing all these native ingredients for this pumpkin pie, and it was honestly so good. The best pumpkin pie I ever made and tasted. I hope you want to try this recipe, and if you do, let me know how your pie turns out, and thanks for watching. My delivery wasn't as clean.